Morning. Today is Friday, the 17th of Adar Rishon, the first Adar. And yes, we're back in New York, Baruch Hashem. And we continue in chapter 30. And the Alter Rebbe is talking about how you shouldn't be judgmental when you see other people. They seem to be doing much worse than you are. And yet, the Alter Rebbe says that you can never judge someone else. You don't know what he's going through. You don't know what kind of yetzer hara he has. And when a person has challenges and is fighting his own challenges, you have to think to yourself, are you fighting your challenge in the same way? It's easy to say that not like him, not like her. It's very easy to say because you don't have this kind of yetzer hara. Your evil inclination is not necessarily working in the same way. So that's why it says, who is a gibor? Who is the strong person? The one who conquers his yetzer hara. Your yetzer hara. Don't conquer somebody else's yetzer hara. You got to fight your own battle. Fight the challenges that you have. So basically, said Alter Rebbe, if you see somebody else doing not good things, you shouldn't be judgmental. Know the circumstances that he has. You don't know the circumstances. You don't know how he happens to be in an environment that causes them to sin. And you, on the other hand, you have to ask yourself, when it comes to the things that you're supposed to do. Let's say if a person, he's talking even to a Beinoni, person in a very, very high level, observing everything. So he says, when you're sitting down and you're praying, let's say, do you have to fight? Do you have to fight with the yetzer hara to daven? Do you really focus with all of your might, just like the other person has to fight when the yetzer hara tells him to look somewhere, to do something else? That's what you have to consider. So now, in today's lesson, Alter Rebbe says, having said all that you should not be judgmental. Don't see what other people are doing. Don't look down on other people. At the same time, the Alter Rebbe says this is not an excuse to those who are fighting their yetzer hara. In other words, if the person that does have a big yetzer hara and is doing not such good things, he shouldn't think that being that he has such a strong yetzer hara that it's okay for him. Says the Alter Rebbe, no. When talking about not being judgmental, this is when you're looking at somebody else. But each person to his own should always know that no matter what challenges he or she has, you should always know that you have to overcome these challenges. By nature, God gave us the ability, no matter how strong the challenge is, that Hashem gave us the ability to overcome. And this is when we're thinking about the fear of God, that should help us to follow and not to give in to the yetzer hara. So let's look inside. The Alter Rebbe says, "V'hinei be'emes, gam mi shehu mechuma ma'od b'tivoi." In truth, even he who is extremely passionate by nature, and whose livelihood obliges him to sit all day by the street corners. Nevertheless, says the Alter Rebbe, that person has no excuse whatsoever to commit the sins. Ein lo yishum isnatzlus al chatov. He has no excuse whatsoever for his sins. Umikri rosha gamu al asher ein pachad elikim leneged einav. And he is termed a rosha gamu, an utter evildoer, for not having the dread of God before his eyes. Why? Because he should have controlled himself and restrained the feelings of desire in his heart. Why? Because of the fear of God who sees all his actions. As they say, says the famous sage Rabbi Yochanan ben Zakkai, before he passed away, his students asked him to bless him and to bless them, and he said to them, I'm paraphrasing, that they should have fear of God like they have the fear of man. And they were very surprised. That's all you can do? Really? That's the best blessing you can give? And he told them, Halavai. Would it be that way? I wish we would be like that. He said, because when you see a person wants to do something wrong, something that he shouldn't be doing, he always looks around and says, anybody see me? Make sure that nobody sees him. And so Rabbi Shlomo Zalman Cohen says, at least you should have this kind of fear from heaven, being that you know that Hashem is there. Hashem, wherever you do, Hashem is with you. Hashem is watching you. Hashem is there with you. So no matter how big the temptation is, you should have this thing in front of your eyes. You should be able to overcome, because God created us that way. We're not animals. Animal is not controlling, doesn't have any self-discipline. That's why the difference between the animal and man, and a person stands upright. The animal is laying down the head, and the rest of the body is in the same level. A person standing up with the head on top, moyach shalit alalev. That concludes the Alter Rebbe here in today's lesson, and says that he should have controlled himself, as we explained earlier. So this fear of God would have enabled him to overcome his desire, despite the difficulties imposed by his surrounding and his nature. Because as explained above, the mind has supremacy over the heart by nature of one's birth. Hashem created us in a way that we are able to control our desires. So basically, this is what the Alter Rebbe says. No matter what, on the one hand, the Beinoni, it looks at the other person and sees, when you think you are on a high level, consider the other challenges that other people have, people that you see they're doing much, much worse than you, and realize that you are really worse than them. Because you don't fight your fight like they have to fight their fight. You don't daven, you don't pray like they fight the Yitzhak and not to commit something. And at the same time, the Alter Rebbe is turning to the people that are not in the level of the Beinoni and says that you should know that you have the ability, no matter the background, no matter the circumstances, you have the ability to do the right thing. Hashem gave you the ability to overcome your temptations, your desires. Yes, sometimes it's a very strong fight, it's a very hard fight, but you can do it. And this is the end of today's year. Hashem, we'll see you Sunday morning. Have a wonderful Shabbos.